was in my first couple of years of business, I loved my business. And at the same time, I knew that it held me back. You see, here's the thing. I loved to travel. Actually, I still love to travel. It's just what I want to do. And while workations are completely possible, I do it all the time throughout the year. It's just not what I always want to do. You need a break from your business. Your business needs a break from you. Life is not meant to be used up by constantly working. So very early on, I figured out a way to be able to go on vacation without having to work and without having to shut down my business completely. And while I still do this today, I have scaled this up quite a bit. So I remember the very first time I had a 2-week international vacation coming up. And while I would have access to email, I could make it possible at some points throughout the day to be able to get some work done. I just decided I didn't want to. So I made the decision that I wouldn't. And at the time, I was lucky that I had a developer who I really trusted. We had started to work on most of our projects together, and he was very, very knowledgeable. He communicated very well. So I talked to him about the possibility of being able to handle any project or projects that were in the queue while I was away. He was completely on board. Now, I decided that I did not want to give him the responsibility of handling lead generation or handling any incoming requests. Now, for full transparency, this was pretty early on in my business, and I did not have a lead generation funnel set up, so I really wasn't overly concerned about this swarm of leads coming into the business. But I didn't want to just not have any income coming in. So since the trip was a few months out, I decided to just start testing things out. So I got this very small project in, and once I landed the deal, I passed it off to my developer and asked him to handle the full, although small project from start to finish as though I wasn't there. Now, during this time, he did ask some questions, even though I limited it because I wanted to see, was he able to handle things that popped up that were not expected. So what we did is throughout the project, we kind of checked in. I asked him questions about how things were going. He asked me questions about how things should be handled, how they should be noted. And I used this to start documenting the types of questions that he had, the couple of problems that came up for that particular project. And that way I was able to note down specifically how he was to handle that should that come up while I was gone. And then the time came for me to actually leave and go on vacation. And I had just landed one new deal. It was a full-on project, but it was ready to go. And so I handed that off to him and off I went on vacation. Now, I'm not going to lie, I did sneak into my email just to double check because I asked to be CC'd on everything. And that way I could just see his communication. I could see what was going on, even though I had asked him to do this for that small project early on. So that way I was able to see what was coming up. And even though a problem actually did come up, I didn't handle it. I chose not to allow him to step in because I had already documented what I wanted him to do, and I really trusted his ability to figure it out, and that he did. So by the time I returned home, I had netted a $2,400 profit on a project that I had no involvement in other than just landing the deal when the inquiry came in. So at that time, I was thrilled with that outcome, and that helped me see the possibilities. Now I knew, okay, now I can go on vacation, I can go anywhere I want, and I know that I'm going to be able to get this handled. But as more time passed, and I had that lead generation funnel set up, and I had more leads coming into the business, I knew something had to change with this process. It was a great start, but I really needed to be able to scale this up further. This is when I really started to create a very detailed and very specific process for my team, whether it was just the one person at the time, and then over time starting to scale that up more, to go step by step by step through exactly what needed to be done to communicate with the client, when to communicate with them, how to get the project done, which steps to take. I mean, think about any time you have a project. If you had to take that project and hand that off to someone else, you get this feeling like, oh, are they gonna do it just as good as I would? Are they actually going to complete the work? We have all these thoughts that keep us from actually reaching out and getting help to free us up from our business a bit. So now having that in place, that has now allowed me to travel a lot more. And even when I do some staycations, we tend to go more local, or even just do some road trips. I know that if needed, I can just step away from my business and that it's going to get handled. But this has also now removed the need for me to work on all projects, even when I'm not traveling, even when I'm home. Now I don't have to work on all of the projects or to be involved in all of them. So if that is something that you want to do, where you only work on parts of the project, or you want to focus completely on lead generation, or you just want to oversee projects, but you don't want to have to do the work yourself, then this is something you absolutely need to have. This is really the power of having processes in your business. So I really want to challenge you to stop tying how much you get paid to how much work you do. Tie it to what you, or better yet, your company can do or provide, and stop tying it to how hard you have to work to get it. I mean, I've seen these men out in my community. They are building homes. They're outside digging these ditches. They're carrying these heavy cement blocks. Even when it is over 100 degrees outside, they are working so hard throughout the day, but they barely get paid anything. So how hard you work is not a reflection of how much money you're going to make in your business. So this is where I really want you to start working smarter than harder. Hard work doesn't mean you're going to make more money. Productivity and results are what matter. So take a step back from working so hard and ask yourself, if I were to step away from my business for 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, what do I need to put in place to make this happen? You see, this is where we really need to start asking ourselves better questions. Because if we're saying, well, is this possible? Could I do it? It's very easy to just say no. And then we don't put any more thought or effort into that. So this is where we need to start asking ourselves the right questions that get us thinking, that get us into action mode. And that's why we need to ask ourselves, how can I make this possible? What do I need to do? What can I put in place? These are all questions that are geared towards action. Now, I've worked for a really long time to really fine-tune my workflow process that covers all of the client interactions, from our first interaction all the way through a full complete project to where we are wrapping that up and then we are continuing to support them on a monthly basis. And I've just released that. So now that is something that you can have as well, which you can get at portableentrepreneur.com/workflow. Either way, I really hope that you take the challenges that I talked about here so that it really opens up the possibilities for you and gets you working a whole lot smarter in your business and not having to work so hard. If you have any thoughts on this, any questions at all, don't hesitate to post a comment down below and I will get back to you there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.